Engine powering up.
Warning, entering ecological dead zone. Adding report to databank.
Engine powering down.
The Gargantuan Leviathan was one of the most fascinating creatures to have ever lived on planet 4546b. Its status is nothing short of iconic, yet few seem to know all that much about it. Today, we'll turn back time as we explore the story of a creature whose sheer size allowed it to rise through the ranks, before cementing its eventual downfall. The rise of creatures such as the Gargantuan Leviathan can be directly attributed to a phenomenon known as deep sea gigantism. This is a result of the frigid temperatures and food scarcity that are commonplace at great depths, causing a creature's metabolism to slow and it to mature much slower. As a result, the creature can become larger, and its lower surface area to volume ratio makes temperature regulation easier, allowing it to become more energy efficient and grow ever larger still. In fact, this can still be seen today in creatures such as the cave crawler and blood crawler, as well as the void and regular chelicerates. Taking a look at fossilized records, as well as the ocean's current inhabitants, gives us a picture as to what kind of creatures may have called the depths home. Massive filter-feeding leviathans, perhaps distant ancestors to the reefback and sea emperor, would have evolved during this time, feeding on the large numbers of microscopic life forms which thrived in the open sea. Colossal toothed predators also came about, hunting the filter feeders, and occasionally getting into massive battles with other leviathans. All of this resulted in an immense competition for the ever-so-limited food, which drove the predators to become ever larger still. But one would rise above the rest, superseding what we once thought possible and pushing the very fabric of biology to its limit. This creature would one day be known as the Gargantuan Leviathan. To say the Gargantuan Leviathan was huge would be a gross understatement. The skeletal remains found in the Lost River are 402 meters long, which is already larger than 4 adult ghost leviathans placed end to end. However, computer analysis shows us that only around 1/3 of the creature is actually exposed. This puts the total length of an adult Gargantuan Leviathan at anywhere from 1,100 to 1,300 meters long. For hunting, the Garg boasted a nearly 100-meter-long, heavily armored skull, which by itself is nearly the size of a sea dragon. Its jaw was equipped with around 84 razor-sharp teeth, with the front 4 growing to over 10 meters long, Gaps can be seen in the gargantuan fossil, so it's possible their teeth did not regrow. Although, this could just as easily be from 3 million years of decomposition. Regardless, the sheer size of the Garg meant that almost nothing was off the menu. Even the largest creatures found on the planet today could have easily been bitten clean in half by the beast's massive jaws. This includes the notorious sea dragon, which, due to its age, might have actually been around at the same time as the Garg, and been a potential food source. Realistically, the only thing that would have been too big for the Garg to eat would have been other gargantuan leviathans. As for actually catching its prey, the gargantuan leviathan likely resided in deeper waters, where it could remain camouflaged in total darkness. Here, it could stay relatively still, using its bioluminescent tendrils to lure in potential prey. Once the target was in striking distance, the beast would ambush, killing almost anything within a single bite. Because of the Garg's slow metabolism, it could likely go days or perhaps even weeks between meals. Little is known about the gargantuan leviathan's reproductive cycles, although we can make some assumptions based on our examinations of other leviathan species. Similar to other fauna, the gargantuan leviathan likely reproduced via egg-laying, as opposed to giving live birth. To accommodate the creature's immense size, the eggs may have slowly expanded over time, taking in nutrients similar to those of ghost leviathans. Once the eggs hatched, the juvenile leviathans needed to be careful, as they would still be very vulnerable to predation from other life forms. For those that did manage to make it to adulthood, there wouldn't have been all that much danger. As mentioned before, the only thing capable of killing one would be another gargantuan leviathan, and they likely kept their distance from one another for this very reason. With virtually no predators and a slowed metabolism, the Garg likely lived for thousands of years, only being dependent on its enormous food supply. For millions of years, the gargantuan leviathans ruled the seas with absolute impunity. But little did they know, the seeds of their demise were being planted right beneath the very oceans they ruled. Over the course of millions of years, underwater volcanoes and thermal vents carried magma to the planet's surface. This lava would then be cooled by the ocean and solidify, slowly building upwards. Eventually, sections of the terrain reached the ocean's shallow, sunlit regions, and for the first time in 4546b's history, larger flora species could take up root in the sunny volcanic craters, creating the base for a whole new ecosystem. As millennia passed by, creatures began migrating from the depths to the much safer and much more nutrient-rich shallows. Unfortunately for the gargantuan leviathan, its massive size now prevented it from following its prey. Faced with a dwindling food supply, the gargantuan population began to slowly decline, bringing the reign of the super predator to an end. Although the gargantuan leviathan may be gone today, the same cannot be said about its lasting impact. There are 2 gargantuan skeletons in the Lost River that are slowly being digested by amoeboids. These, alongside other fossilized remains, have become the basis for a subterranean ecosystem, which has had a massive impact on the life cycle of the crater as a whole. Overall, the gargantuan leviathan was one of the most fascinating creatures to have ever lived. Spearheaded by its unique environment, the Garg managed to push the very limits of biology, becoming so large that nothing could ever hope to kill it. For millions of years, it reigned as the planet's apex predator, before being brought down by its own size. And although the last of its bones will one day decay, it will likely never be forgotten. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. If you enjoy stuff like this, stick around. I've got many more ideas in the works. Well, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one.